basement. As you can see, we've already got started. We're not going to our microphone, and there's going to be no lighting pretty much because the power's off. So put up with that. Right now, I will be undoing this outlet for this wall. I'm going to be taking down this whole wall right here. Now you're going to be asking why you're taking down the whole wall. It looks fine to me. First of all, you got some of this metal framing. You can see how flimsy that is. And then if you just want to hear it like knock into it, you know, we don't love that. Another thing in Colorado, and a big reason for a lot of this framing change, is you need floating walls. We can explain what floating walls are in a more concise way later in this video. We're thinking about making all of this floating. So there's going to be a whole basement remodel, and Chloe is going to help very much, like she already has. Also, shout out to Chloe for getting this sweet tool belt for me for Christmas.
For Christmas, and he hasn't worn it yet.
I worn it once.
So.
And it is awesome.
Okay, let's explain this floating wall first. Colorado has high levels of bentonite in the soil. Now, don't ask me for the chemical makeup of that, but basically bentonite just expands and contracts a lot. So this poses a large risk for walls in the basement to push up against the joists on the main level. Hence, these large nails allow the framed wall to float, to go up and down with the expansion and contraction of the ground. This is code in most parts of Colorado because of the soil, and as a rental property, we just want to follow this code as closely as possible and also mitigate risk to structural damage in our house, which would cause a lot more expense and damage.
Alright, so we're just going to take care of this outlet right here, just so we hit the wall down, it doesn't come crashing with it. Power's already off, so just going to snip it right here so that when we take the wall off, it'll come with it. There we go. Now, because we want the power back on, I'm just going to wire nut these. I'm not going to narrate that, sorry. But I'll speed it up for you so you can watch.
We submitted our permit to Jefferson County, Colorado, and within the next day, Russ from Jefferson County Planning approved them, so thank you, Russ. And after paying $183.48, we had our permit from the county to start the basement remodel. This basement is basically the epitome of the entire house, where a lot of the work was done DIY and certainly not to standard that we want. It was done very shoddily, if you will. And so we are just going through, taking it all down, and just starting clean. That's definitely one of the biggest lessons we've learned from this house so far, is that we'd rather have a clean slate than buy someone else's poor workmanship. Alright, all done for the day. Took down the entire wall here because of that silly metal framing, that stuff. And then we also took down this wall. This was like a silly closet that was right here. And they had a clothes hanger, rod, just kind of drilled into the air duct with self-tapping screws. So we took all that down. There's some electrical in the walls, so had to take care of that. Like this switch and this other one that controlled that light over there. So that's all wired and netted up. And I also took this wall down right here because there's no need. And yeah, we got a lot of drywall and a lot of wood. So trash management will be fun. Okay, all done with basement demo for the day. Now let's move on to a recap of recent house projects. First things first is that in June, we got some solar panels. We got us from Tesla. We financed these, so our monthly payment is $85 for these solar panels. So here's all the new equipment for the solar panels. You see the inverter on the left, disconnect switch next to it, and then we got a new net meter in the middle. This net meter goes forwards and backwards depending on if the solar panels are producing more than we're using or vice versa. Another thing on our to-do list is the driveway. You see the driveway has some big cracks in it, and while it may not seem like that big of a deal, these are some pretty big cracks, and as a rental property, we want to avoid any hazards like tripping. A new driveway should cost about $4,000. We were going to get a new electrical box, but when the solar panels were installed, the inspectors took care of the minor code violations, and while it still looks messy, we've now had one inspector and one master electrician come out and say that there are no code violations and that it is messy, but everything is still okay. So we will probably just stick with this one for as long as we can, and for now that'll be around a $2,000 to $2,500 savings. We had this leaky gate valve as our main water shutoff. Now this valve would leak if you open it up too much. So a plumber recommended that we get it switched for a nice ball valve. On top of that, the water pressure coming into the house was too high. So the plumber put on a pressure regulator valve that keeps the pressure at a constant 65 PSI for us. This change cost us $944.47. Now you may be saying that's pretty expensive for such a simple change. And yeah, it is. But you know what's even more expensive is using an inexperienced plumber. So we're not afraid to spend some money on some quality work, especially when it comes to such an important task like the main water shutoff valve for the house. This valve he's using right here is called a press valve. The crimping tool crimps the copper around the pipe and makes a strong seal that can withstand a lot of pressure. This is higher quality and can withstand more pressure than both shark bite and the typical solder joints. A big task on our to-do list is the siding. Now the siding overall is in good condition. It's definitely not the fanciest, but it holds up good enough. And so for a rental property, we don't think it justifies changing out the entire house for probably around $12,000. So we've hired a handyman who will come out soon to replace the areas that need replacing and then just spot fix the areas that can be spot fixed. This will cost about $1,300 for labor and material. So as you can see, there's definitely some areas that need fixing, especially along the roof, which is the north-facing side, which in Colorado is where a lot of the weather happens. Oh, and we also got a free grill. Shout out to our neighbor. Thanks, John. That's all we got for today, guys. We will have plenty more construction projects in the future. We are starting some pretty big renovations. And so please comment on if you like this footage of our construction, if you like being updated about this construction, because I promise we have a lot of it. Okay, here we go. Get to the solar panels on. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, guys. Go on. Okay, that's on. Okay, now do the big switch right here.
Where is it?
Right here.
It's
Flip
right
it.
out here. Up.
Yep. It's on.